So here we are moving along in this class, and you guys are playing our video game, and I hope it's going well for you. I'm getting some really good questions about it, and I'm getting a lot of energy and a lot of people saying that they're having fun. And this week we're going to explore the idea of cultural differences within teams. Because we all have cultural differences, even within our own families, within our own communities, and we struggle with that. It's a permanent question. It's something that's always with us. You see, in the past, we've often thought of cultural differences by the color of the skin. We've just looked at people's skin color and said they must be culturally different. And then we categorize them that way, we've made generalizations that way. Or we've done it by race or religion or ethnicity or gender or some other thing that's really obvious. But for me, from my belief, the truth of the matter is that there are cultural dimensions, cultural belief systems that separate us much more than race, gender, some of the more obvious superficial things. And when those surface in a team environment, it makes working in a team really difficult sometimes. And the blending of those, the leveraging of those, the coming together of those also makes a team extremely strong, very, very strong, because you can transcend those differences. Now, also in today's list of things to watch is a universalism, particularism video. It's a little 5-minute video I did in Washington, D.C., where we looked at the difference between a universalist, somebody with universalist cultural beliefs, and somebody with particularist cultural beliefs. And that's one of the cultural dimensions that you can look at. People who are universalists believe that there's one right way. They believe that there's sort of a book of commandments, a way to do things, a top-down best way to do things, and that you follow the rule of law. And if you follow the rule of law, you can find the best way to do it. That's one belief system. And most Americans are very universalist. Most English people are very universalist. Most Westerners are universalist. But people who come from South America, certainly Africa, where I just came from, certainly Asia, are more particularist. And that means that they don't follow so much the rule of law as they do the society or social order. Their first loyalty is not to the rules, it's to the relationship. And so they don't want to let go of that relationship or damage that relationship in any way. And so you pay a lot of close attention as to what your father says, your mother says. You follow authority, you follow the community norms. You don't, they say in Japan, the nail that sticks up gets hammered down. You don't stand out. You follow the social order of things, even if it's wrong, and so those are two different worldviews. They're enculturated in us. And when you have a team that has both of those kind of dimensions in it, then some people want to follow the rules and some people are saying, I want to follow the relationship. And the team needs to figure that out together. Well, there are a number of cultural dimensions that I look at. For example, there's one related to time. Monochronic people tend to do one thing at a time. They want to be on time. They want to have an agenda. They want to go in a certain order. Polychronic people want to sort of do things in a lot of different ways. And they want to do it in more of many things at the same time. And it looks a little bit chaotic, but it's much more creative. And bringing those two types of people into a group creates a certain amount of tension, because the people who are monochronic want an agenda and they want it to end on time, and they just do one thing at a time. And the people who are polychronic say, well, let's bring all of this information in and weave it all together and be much more holistic. And so those are two different ways of thinking, and they're hard to think about. There's another one that's important. That's individualism and collectivism. Individualists see their identity, have this identity as an individual, as one person, and collectivists have an identity as a whole. And of course, Americans are very collectivist, very individualist, while Asian cultures are much, 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 much more collectivist. And so you have to figure this out when you're on a team, and it creates tension. It creates a problem. So I've asked you to read a good article about that this week and to figure that out. But I also need you to write about it and think about it in your team as you're playing this video game. Are you seeing any of those kind of differences? And are you seeing people who are culturally one way and other people who are culturally another way? Is that creating tension, conflict in your team? Now, I got to tell you something. I've worked on those issues and they're complicated and they're big, and I've worked with them on major corporations. I've been to a lot of different countries. And when you can come together, when you can bridge a universalist and a collectivist and come together, or a universalist and a particularist, or an individualist and a collectivist, or a monochronic and a polychronic, or an achievement-oriented versus an ascription-oriented, there are a lot of cultural dimensions. When you can bring them together like this and weave them into, it can be very, very powerful. You can create a much, much better team, a team that is much stronger, strong like that versus strong like that. And so I really believe that that is the challenge of teams cross-culturally, and that's a really important skill to be able to have. So watch for that this week as you work on things. Now remember that Jessica is here to help you. John is here to help you with the game. Jessica and I are here to help you with the class. You can contact me at any time. And I need you to start thinking. Remember, start thinking about that paper. Every week you are writing in your journal, and we're asking you questions and making you, the main thing about this class is you've got to focus the concepts from the class, from the readings, from this lecture, from everything. You've got to focus those on the game and do an analysis of your team. Think about why your team's doing well and why they're not doing well, how they're interacting. Look at that, see that, talk to others about it so that you can write about it and be really, really insightful. Thanks. I hope you're enjoying the class. Call me with any questions, concerns, or even if you're excited. Thanks. Take care.